The New England Patriots have officially made an offer to the San Francisco 49ers for wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. We know all the details, including what the Patriots were willing to give up in terms of compensation, but we also know the contract that they were willing to give up for Brandon Aiyuk if the 49ers and the Pats were able to have met on mutual grounding. Let's hop into today's video. What is going on, guys? It's your boy Colby, also known as Patriots Global, back here with another video. I appreciate you guys clicking on to hear me talk about some Patriots news, and we got some more rumors and news involving the Patriots trade interest in Brandon Aiyuk. A lot of really good details coming out here from Pro Football Talk, which we're going to get into, but on your way in, guys, please make sure you leave a big like on the video because it seriously helps out the channel, along with commenting your thoughts and subscribing to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. This is your one-stop shop for everything involving the New England Patriots. I mean, news, rumors, thoughts, opinions. This upcoming season, we're going to be doing live game watch parties along with post-game breakdowns, just kind of analyzing the game that we just saw. Basically, what we did last season. You guys are not going to want to miss out on this. But like I mentioned, let's pull this up here. Pro Football Talk just recently dropped an article basically listing 5 teams that were interested and are still interested in trading for 49ers Brandon Aiyuk. They state here that negotiations occurred not because Aiyuk wanted out, but because the 49ers invited his representatives to explore whether another team would pay Aiyuk what he wanted on a long-term deal. At the time, the magical number was in the neighborhood of $28 million per year. That quite possibly has changed given the market-shifting deal given by the Vikings to receiver Justin Jefferson. Regardless, there were 5 teams, we're told, who are ready to pay Aiyuk what he wanted before the draft. If they could have reached acceptable terms with the 49ers, he would have been traded. That part didn't happen. It's unclear what the 49ers wanted at the time. They rejected an offer of a second-round pick from the Patriots. Other teams were interested and potentially still are. They named the Steelers and the Commanders as those other teams. So there's 2 things that we know. 1, the Patriots were willing to give up the 34th overall pick in the second round of the 2024 draft. 2, the Patriots, Eliot, Jerod, Mayo, they were willing to pay Brandon Aiyuk. They were willing to give him number 1 wide receiver money worth about $28 million per year. 3, the reason that the 49ers did not trade Brandon Aiyuk to the New England Patriots or any other team came down to the return value. It wasn't that Brandon Aiyuk vetoed it because teams were willing to give him the money he wanted. It just came down to the fact that the 49ers didn't get the trade package that they wanted in return. Now, of course, Pro Football Talk also did not mention what the other teams were willing to give up. Ironically, they only mentioned the Patriots in this article and that they were willing to give up their second-round pick. To me, that states that the Patriots had the best offer out of any team in the NFL for Brandon Aiyuk, and the 49ers still said, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Now, like Pro Football Talk mentioned, since the Justin Jefferson contract extension, the Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Jalen Waddle, Brandon Aiyuk could be wanting a different contract that is now more than $28 million per year, but let's roll with that idea of $28 million. If that's what the Patriots did end up giving Brandon Aiyuk, he would be kind of sandwiched in here as around the 7th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. He'd be making the same amount of money as Devontae Adams, who's also making about $28 million per year. To me, I think Aiyuk would end up wanting more than $28 million because of these new contracts. Now, does he deserve a $35 million contract? No. Does he deserve a $32 million contract? No. But I think that he would want somewhere between a $28 to $30 million per year contract. And I would be okay giving that up for him. Is he the best wide receiver in the league? No. Is he the second best wide receiver in the league? No. But what he is he's young. He's upcoming, he's thriving, and he's only gotten better each and every single year, as you can see here on the screen. In 2020, he put up a total of 748 yards. His second year goes to 826. His third year goes to 1,015. And then in his fourth year, this past season, in 2023, he puts up 1,342 yards. And I know that some Patriots fans are weary of giving out lucrative game-breaking contracts, especially because that would be the highest paid Patriot since Tom Brady. What you also have to keep in mind is that contracts as we know it in the NFL are changing. If the Patriots give Brandon Aiyuk, let's say, a $30 million contract, we're going to see contracts adjust over the next few years, especially with the NFL looking to add another game. The market, the revenue share is going to significantly rise, which is going to make player contracts also start to rise. And so while Brandon Aiyuk maybe would be, the fourth or the fifth highest paid wide receiver, over time, he's going to go down that chart as contracts start to go up. I got a couple more thoughts for you guys, but before we continue on the video, let's hear from today's sponsor over at Aura. Hey guys, sorry to cut the video real quick, but I had a very important question that I had to ask you, and that is, have you ever Googled yourself, or maybe a friend, or maybe a family member Googled themselves and saw their private information being used? Maybe like their name, their phone number, their social security number, their address, maybe their credit card information? God knows I have, and the only reason that I was able to find that and take care of it was because of today's sponsor over at Aura. So what Aura is an identity protection service. And what they do is they go ahead for you so you don't got to do the hard work, and they scour the internet for any of your information being used illegally that you didn't want them to use. The other great part is that they'll monitor your credit. They'll see if your phone number is being used to robocallers, which if you don't know what those guys are, they're essentially the ones that call you about 5 times a day. Because little do you know, these data brokers are actually trying to sell your information to robocallers, to spammers who are trying to find out your own personal information, such as where you live. So what Aura will do is they'll essentially send you an email or notification saying that, hey, someone's trying to use your phone number. Someone's trying to access this information about you. Do you want us to delete it from the web? Fortunately, in today's society, a lot of threats that we all face on a day-to-day basis come online. And unfortunately, the scary part is that we can't always see it. Aura's going to come in, protect you, protect your family from threats that we can't see and we don't even know are coming. So hey, look, you guys can go right ahead and let people exploit your own private information, or you can go to the link in the description box below and pinned in the comment section below to go ahead and sign up for your 14-day free trial over at Aura. I have a couple more thoughts about the compensation that the Patriots offered. And to be completely honest, if the best offer that the 49ers got was from the Patriots, the 34th overall pick, to be quite honest, I also would have said no if I'm the 49ers. I don't blame them for turning that down. And again, we don't know the other offers. I'm sure the Patriots offered more than just the 34th overall pick, but when you have a number one wide receiver who is coming off of a 1,300-yard season and is still young, he's still in his prime, it probably has to start with a first-round pick. We look at the last time a true number one wide receiver was traded in the NFL, not Stephon Diggs, but I'm talking about a true elite number one wide receiver, was probably Tyreek Hill a few years ago. And you look at that deal, the Miami Dolphins, they got Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs in return got a massive bundle. They got a 2022 first round pick, a 2022 second round pick, a 2022 fourth round pick, and then a 2023 fourth and sixth round pick. Now, is Brandon Aiyuk worth the same amount that Tyreek Hill at that time was? No, Tyreek Hill was one of the best wide receivers in the league at that time, top 3, if not the number 1 best receiver in the league at that time. He's also the fastest wide receiver in the league. So speed kills. You're going to have to pay a little bit of extra for that. But at the end of the day, with Aiyuk being highly regarded, being top 10 in receiving yards this past season, a first round pick is going to have to be included. And if you're the Patriots, you also don't want to give up at that time the 3rd overall pick, because Brandon Aiyuk also isn't worth a top 5 pick. And I really think that's what separates the Patriots from all these other teams, is that they're in a little bit more of an awkward position, because if you're sitting at a pick like, maybe 10, 15, late 20s, mid 20s, you're okay with giving up your first round pick, especially if you're a contender and you're sitting in the 20s to early 30s. You're like, well, you know what? Brandon Aiyuk is a better player than we're going to get at this point, so we might as well give up our first round pick. But when you have such a high pick like the Patriots had this past season and potentially have this upcoming season, it holds so much value. And honestly, if the Patriots weren't willing to give up their first round pick this past year, I doubt they're going to be willing to give up their first round pick this year if they're expected to have another top 5, top 10 pick anyway. So if the Patriots really are serious about landing Brandon Aiyuk and they don't want to give up that first round pick, it's going to start with your second round pick. It's going to start with your third round pick. And then you're probably going to have to offer some type of player that is going to help the 49ers win right now. And the only player that I think holds real value here, I think there's three. One, Matthew Judon. Two, Kyle Duggar, or three, Jabril Peppers. You love the fact that the Patriots are being this aggressive at trying to improve the offense, get a number one wide receiver, help out Drake Maye. But at the end of the day, I said this in my last video, and I'm going to say it again here for those who didn't watch that video yet, is I'm just going to wait. At this point, I'm going to wait out the season. I'm going to see what I currently have in-house, and I'm going to readdress the situation during free agency next year. Because let's also keep in mind that Brandon Aiyuk is in contract year. He's probably not going to get an extension done with the 49ers. The same thing could be said for T. Higgins. Not to mention, there are several other number one elite wide receivers that are in contract year too. You got to think that at least one true elite receiver, if not multiple of those guys, ends up hitting free agency, and I'm just throwing a bag at one of those guys when the time comes. I like Brandon Aiyuk. If you can get a number one wide receiver here, you absolutely do it. But at the end of the day, I'm not willing to give up what could be such a valuable asset in a top 10 to potentially even a top 5 pick. But this is where I kick it off to you guys. What are your thoughts on the recent news on what the Patriots were willing to give up for Brandon Aiyuk? What would you do differently? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. I appreciate you all so much for watching. And, of course, never forget, go Pats.